Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive into some really powerful verses from the Quran in Surah Al-Hajj. They start with something super simple, almost every day, a tiny fly, but they build up to this incredible, profound call to action. And it all kicks off with a pretty fascinating question.
I know, it sounds a little strange, right? What could a fly possibly teach us about something as big as ultimate power? But believe it or not, this is exactly where the verses start. It's about using one of the smallest, most humble creatures to make a massive point. So let's get into it.
All right, so first up, we have what's called the parable of the fly. The verses kick off with a parable, a simple story that's meant to teach a really deep lesson. And what's interesting is it's not just for one group of people, it's addressed to all of humankind. And the message comes out swinging with a direct challenge. It basically says, hey, think about all those things people worship besides the one true creator, idols, statues, whatever it is. Even if you gathered all of them together, with all their supposed power, they couldn't even create something as seemingly simple as a fly. But wait, the point gets even sharper.
And this is where it gets really clever. It's not just that these idols can't create a fly. The verse says they're so utterly powerless that if a fly were to steal something from them, say a tiny speck of food or perfume left as an offering, they couldn't get it back. There's just no way. And the verse lands this powerful punchline. Weak are both the seeker and the sought. In other words, the person worshiping is weak, and the thing being worshipped is even weaker.
So you see the logic here, right? It's laid out so clearly. This idol, this thing that's supposed to be so powerful, is shown to be completely and totally helpless. It can't make anything, and it can't even protect itself from a tiny little insect. I mean, in this scenario, the fly is actually the one with all the power. It's such a simple but brilliant image, and it just completely exposes how absurd it is to worship anything that's been created.
Okay, so this whole parable about weakness, it's all setting something up. It's building a really stark contrast. Because right after showing how helpless these idols are, the verses do a 180 and start talking about the absolute, unmatched power of the one true God.
And here we get to the heart of the problem. The verse says the real issue isn't just about worshiping the wrong thing. It's about fundamentally underestimating God's power. The phrase used is that they haven't given God true appraisal, which is like saying they just don't get it. They haven't grasped the sheer scale of his might. And the verse makes it crystal clear. Allah is the one who is truly powerful, truly exalted in might.
And the verses keep building on this idea, really painting a picture of what that divine authority looks like. God is the one who chooses his messengers, whether they're angels or human beings. He hears everything, he sees everything, and his knowledge, it's absolute. He knows what came before, what's happening now, and what will come after. All of these points are leading to one huge ultimate conclusion.
And here it is. This single line is the anchor for the entire argument. It's all about absolute sovereignty. It means that every single thing, every event, every action, the whole shebang, it all goes back to him in the end. It's the polar opposite of that helpless idol that couldn't even get a crumb back from a fly, right? Okay, so now that this foundation of God's immense power is set in stone, the verses kind of shift gears. The tone changes. It's not just a deep theological argument anymore. It becomes direct, practical advice. It's like, okay, you get it now, so what are you supposed to do about it?
And the instructions are laid out like a really clear roadmap. Step 1, the physical acts of prayer. Bowing and prostrating. These are the outward signs of what's happening on the inside. Then, that leads to the core command, worship your Lord. And then, it broadens out into this universal principle, just do good. It's this beautiful connection between specific acts of worship and just living a good, righteous life in general.
Well, the verse tells us exactly why, so that you may succeed. It's not just about ticking off boxes or fulfilling obligations. This is presented as the pathway to real, genuine success and fulfillment. It's a simple but incredibly powerful formula, isn't it? Devotion plus doing good, that equals success.
All right, we're at the final verse in this section, and this is where it all comes together. It takes that individual call to worship and just blows it up into this huge collective mission for the entire community. And it roots that community in a faith that goes way, way back in history. It starts with a command to strive for Allah. Now, the Arabic word for that is jihad. And in this context, the verse defines it as striving with the kind of effort that he truly deserves.
It's a call to pour your energy into a life of purpose, to really exert yourself for something bigger than yourself.
And then, the verse lays out the unique identity of this community of believers. It's like, here's who you are. You are chosen by God. Your religion doesn't have a bunch of impossible hardships. You are following in the footsteps of this incredible foundational figure, your father Abraham. And on top of all that, you've been given a special name and a special mission.
And that name is Muslims. The verse makes it super clear that God himself gave them this name, which means those who submit. And this isn't some new thing either. It was used in previous scriptures and, of course, in the Quran. It's a name that connects them directly to the pure, original monotheistic faith of Abraham. It establishes this really deep, unbroken spiritual lineage.
So after laying out this huge responsibility, to strive, to pray, to be witnesses for all of humanity, the passage ends with this incredibly comforting reassurance. It tells believers to hold on tight to God because He is your ultimate protector. He is the best protector and the best helper you could ever ask for. It's such a powerful mix of duty on one hand and total divine support on the other.
And that leaves us with this final thought to chew on. Think about it. We started with a simple little story about a fly, and we ended up here with this idea of a global community tasked with being witnesses over the people, witnesses to the truth of this message. So what does that really mean for us today? What does that responsibility look like in the world we live in right now? That's a really powerful question to leave you with. Thanks so much for joining me.